Dan Radio Style. Thanks, everyone, for joining me. You know what? I got to say, just right off the bat, before I get too heavily into this show, which, of course, is about the sixth chakra, which means we've only got one more to go. It is really hard to find 30 seconds of a song or less that really says much of anything. And I love that song, One Vision. I think it's an amazing song by Queen, and really just, it's a beautiful song. The whole concept, through and through, start to finish, as a piece of work is beautiful. Trying to pull out 30 seconds of it that's meaningful for the topic that we're dealing with, it's a little tricky. Anyway, Dan Radio Style, I want to thank everyone for joining me again. I love doing this. Thank you very much. And, I love sharing it with you. I hope you guys are enjoying this little walk down Chakra Lane, as I like to call it. Actually, it's the first time I've said that ever, probably in my life, so I can't really say I like to call it that. Well, I do now. Yeah, okay. I like to call it that. Anywho. If you want to contact me, which I always enjoy, shoot me an email at spiritradiodanstyle@gmail.com. You know it. I love doing that, too. Mm-hmm. Anywho, yeah, Spirit Radio Dan Style, and then, of course, Dan Radio Style is the channel. Please subscribe. All that good stuff. All right, so now we've got all the dirty work out of the way. We're dealing with the sixth chakra, also called the third eye chakra. This is like, I don't know, they're all really important, right, in their own right, but this is like really, you're getting up into the sixth chakra range, you are getting into some serious, cool, awesome stuff. This is really where we really start to put this is like, everything up to this point is like just writing, right? Once you get to the sixth chakra, it's like you're writing in calligraphy. I don't know, it's about the best way I can do it. It really just opens up your whole world, your perceptions of everything, your dreams take life and form. What you start to imagine and visualize starts to mean so much. So the third eye chakra is awesome. It's located in the center of the forehead above the eyebrows. Pretty much like, when someone says I shot him square between the eyes, well, just a hair above that. There you go. That's your third eye. It's also been called in many spiritual circles to be the seat of the soul, or to some degrees also where the Christ Christ consciousness exists within ourselves. I don't want to get too far off subject, but that is a major aspect of kind of where the Christian beliefs maybe derail from the spiritual beliefs. But ultimately, they are brethren. It's kind of like looking at the Christianity faith and Jewish faith. They really are brother and sister. They just sort of kind of, I don't want to say derailed, but at a point, one decided that the other guy was really groovy, and the other people said, yeah, no, we're still waiting for him to show up. So anywho, orientation is self-reflection, okay? So that's like kind of the main function, if you will, or what is the main function is kind of like seeing, intuition, imagining, accurate interpretation. Now that's really trick, and we're going to get into that a little bit down the road here. But in this chakra, we aim to break open our internal wisdom and see at a deeper, more perceptive level. Very, very true. So you're already operating from love. You're already speaking from love. Now we're starting to see these kinds of things. So we do this through our third eye center, which is located between the eyes and is the organ for inner perception. So the third eye witnesses the internal screen, if you will, where memory and fantasy, images and archetypes, intuition and imagination, all these wonderful things kind of intertwine and come together in this, what we almost want to call an endless display, like a movie, right? It's constantly playing along. So by watching the contents on this screen, we create meaning and bring it to consciousness. We kind of give it life, if you will. So the purpose of the sixth chakra is to see the way. So opening the third eye allows us to see the big picture. Yes. Allows us to transcend our egocentricity, which is huge. And it also gives us a chance to find the deeper meaning inherent in all things. Again, this is like I said, you're like writing in calligraphy. It's great just to write beautifully, right? I write beautiful things. Now all of a sudden I'm writing like crazy pretty letters and stuff, right? So it really does kind of give us a whole new perspective and outlook on life. The sixth chakra is awesome. So as inner sight develops, illusions are shattered, dreams are integrated, clarity begins, and the consciousness extends yet another step. Yeah, it does. It goes up a notch. And what was once not available through the lower five chakras alone is suddenly kind of a part of your world, right? So it's very groovy when it happens, I'm telling you. So as we make our way up from the root chakra and out the crown of the head, we are gaining insight and delving deeper into the internal reality. So our action becomes not only significant and purposeful, but also thoughtful. This road to thoughtful action is pattern recognition. And we learn to recognize a pattern and let it be our guide for responding and acting appropriately. Pattern recognition is really, why can't I say that word? Recognition. It sounds horrible the way I'm saying it. Why is that important? Because knowing when you're following a pattern allows you to deal with it, allows you a chance to, all right, I've been doing this 50 times, and I keep thinking something different's going to happen. Einstein's definition of insanity is following the same process with the hopes of a different outcome. I think he says it slightly differently, but it's the same thing. Doing the same thing over and over and over again with the hopes of a different outcome. Either way you go, either way you slice it, it's still insanity. So looking for patterns is a good way to catch yourself in the act, if you will, and it gives you a chance to, benefit yourself, move forward, kind of stop things in their tracks, maybe try it slightly different. This is one thing I like to do. I got to say there's a certain pattern I've been repeating in my life for a while, but I keep trying to do something slightly different, and, we'll see where it gets me. I don't know. It's kind of fun. That's basically what it comes down to. You got to learn to just enjoy the path. But it is within the self that the information from our experiences has been gathering and is stored in our memory. This is kind of where the pattern comes in. It is only by seeing within that we can cross-reference that information and recognize meaningful patterns. We want to break free from those patterns that exhaust our well-being, and we also want to hone in on the ones that add meaning and depth to our lives, right? That kind of goes back to my point. So is it a good pattern, a bad pattern? Do I tweak it a little bit, and all of a sudden it's an awesome pattern? That's kind of what we're playing around with. So we can do this by learning to recognize what our archetypal identities are. And I'll cover those in a second. This is the first time I really ever saw the archetypal identities put the way they are. And I liked it so much I left it in here. I thought it was pretty groovy. So we can find those identities by learning more about the archetypes and seeing what we identify with most. So this is one of those things, too, where if you really want to kind of learn more about these archetype identities, I recommend looking them up and kind of digging into them and it could theoretically be a show down the road. It might be a ways down the road because I kind of miss doing some of the other just random stuff. But this is definitely in line with that. So archetype identities are archetypal identities. We can dive deeper into those more as we progress through the exploration, if you will, of ourselves. But the archetypal identities of the chakras. So Chakra 1, which we've covered already, right? We've covered, the first 5 for sure. Chakra 1 is the Earth Mother or Provider. Again, what do you kind of, why can't I think of the word? What do you relate to? There you go. That's what I want. So Earth Mother Provider, that's Chakra 1. Chakra 2 is the Lover. Chakra 3 is the Hero. Chakra 4 is the Healer, through the heart. Odd that number 2 is the Lover, right? Because that's where that sexual energy comes from. And again, the lower level kind of concepts are happening there. Once you get up to 4, you've made that great leap. Now all of a sudden you're kind of getting into higher purpose, higher being, higher whatever. I'm not trying to higher in the sense of more angelic, more godlike, more Christ-like, more like Buddha, more whatever. You're in those higher realms. So Chakra 4 is Healer. Chakra 5 is the Artist. All right, Speaker. I like to relate with that one a little bit sometimes. Chakra 6 is the Seer. And Chakra 7, the Sage/Master. Yes, very good. I don't know what the hell that was, frankly, but that's what it was, okay? So another means of recognizing patterns in the 6th chakra is through intuition and clairvoyance, or clear seeing, as it's sometimes called. Intuition is needed to understand the true essence and mystery of things, and clairvoyance is a matter of learning to focus internal attention on something long enough to illuminate its patterns. So again, that's kind of what meditation can be. You can actually just focus on a concept and see what comes to you, see what clarity you gain from it. Meditation is not just, a lot of people are under the impression, I've got to make every thought disappear from my brain or I'm not meditating. No. You just don't hold on to things. That's really probably if we're going to simplify meditation to its fundamentals, it's really letting thoughts come and go. Don't hold on to anything. Don't grab anything and hang on to it. Just let it all flow. Just be in the moment. Just let these things pass through. So the element of the 6th chakra is light. Interestingly enough, right? Light and sight kind of go hand in hand. You can't see without light. Dark room, you don't really see really well. I'm just saying. So in following our intuition and seeking clarity, we often light the path for spiritual growth and inner wisdom. Illusion is the demon of this chakra. This is kind of important to pay a little attention to. Illusion, which is kind of the fake reality, if you will. It's a perpetual fixation on an inaccurate idea or image that runs the risk of turning into an obsession. I'm going to say that one more time. Illusion is a perpetual fixation on an inaccurate idea or image that runs the risk of turning into an obsession. We develop illusory ways of thinking, and we displace our energy when we do this. But we also, when we subscribe to what we think something should be, finger quotes, should be, or make an assumption about a scenario we are uncertain of. This can quickly turn into an obsession when we invest too much time and become attached to this illusion, meaning we've created this kind of false idea in our minds, and then we attach to it that it's reality or that it's truth. That's not really what the sixth chakra is about. That is, quote, the demon of this chakra. So since the sixth chakra also focuses on strengthening our inner perception, we can also fine-tune our external perceptions as a means of further avoiding illusion. Example, does our coworker really dislike us? Our illusion, misperception, right? Or are they simply impersonal and possibly exceptionally shy? Maybe they're just afraid to talk to you. Maybe they're afraid to look you in the eye. But we sometimes might jump straight to they don't like me, right? That is what we're talking about. That's the illusion. That's the BS. That's the demon of this chakra. We decided they don't like us. We have no knowledge of that. We can say, well, my perception's telling me. Sure, your perception's wrong in this case. You need to work on your sixth chakra. It's not accurate yet. Give it some time. But sometimes it just helps to ask the person. Call them out. Hey, do I upset you? No, I'm just kind of shy. And boom, done. Right? There you go. There's your answer. So even the way we perceive ourselves can also fall into these same traps. We can sometimes throw horrible things onto ourselves and end up believing them. All right? Granted, we can ask ourselves the truth, but that's oftentimes a little more difficult because a lot of times once we start believing lies, we start truly believing them, right? Isn't that kind of the catch-22, if you will? So the sixth chakra is also where we learn to interpret, perceive, see, understand, and recognize ourselves and the world around us, for that matter, both accurately and authentically. So in committing to more meaningful levels of self-reflection, we can free ourselves from the demon of illusion. And we can also, at the same time, kind of learn to perceive patterns, right? Going back to the patterns thing. We can learn to follow our intuition. We can see things as having a more sacred purpose. As a good friend of mine and I frequently talk about, little magic moments. You start to realize there's more of a purpose. That maybe God's talking to me. Maybe my higher self is pointing something out to me. Maybe this is a bigger deal right now. It's a sacred purpose. I'm seeing something that matters. So we ultimately discard distorted ways of thinking, and we start to command clarity and integrity into our lives. Interesting also to note is that the Sanskrit name for this chakra is Ajna. I hope I'm saying that right. Ajna, which it means to perceive and to command. All right? So how are we choosing to perceive reality? Are we commanding our reality, or are we allowing it to be distorted? Some wonderful healing practices for this chakra are creative arts, visual stimulation, meditation, dream work, and hypnosis. Now, I will say, too, one thing before we get into some of the balance, not balance, all that kind of cool stuff, and finishing up, because we're kind of wrapping up here. Dreams are a really common place, too, for this little chakra to come alive. So it is a good idea, especially when you start working on this chakra in particular, keep a little pad of paper and a pen close to your bed and write down your dreams. When you wake up, if you wake up in the middle of the night, some crazy dream, now you got to go to the bathroom, take the pad of paper with you and jot down the dream while you're in there peeing, doing your thing. If you're a guy, sit down and pee. It makes it easier. Who cares? Whatever. In the middle of the night, come on, we can't aim. You know that. Don't act like I've never, come on. So anyway, I'm just saying that's a good way to work through that. All right, let's get into some sort of ways you can tell where you're at. Maybe help gauge your patterns, if you will. When the sixth chakra is balanced, we are intuitive and perceptive, right? which is sometimes hard to gauge, but you can get some validation or some proof almost that your perceptions and intuition are correct. But we can have healthy imaginations. It's very cool. We can have strong memory and dream recall. We are capable of symbolic thinking and visualization. We're very insightful. We have the ability to recognize patterns and what effect they have, not just in ourselves, but in others as well. It helps make you an even better healer. We do not subscribe to illusionary ways of thinking, and we have the ability to predict what direction life is taking us. When the sixth chakra is excessive, when it's crazy out of control, we subscribe to delusional thinking patterns. Sometimes get a little crazy and believe things that aren't true or try to see things where they're not. We have difficulty concentrating and taking in factual information. We have nightmares and reoccurring headaches. We tend to live in a fantasy world. We have far-sighted visions and are blind to the realities of the present moment. When the sixth chakra is deficient, meaning it's not quite spinning fast enough, people, we have poor memory and vision. We aren't able to see the future or imagine what it could be or what it could be like if we, can imagine it, right? We also live in a state of denial. We also can't see what's really going on in front of us. Sometimes we're just totally blind to the moment, if you will. We're also monopolized, which means basically we believe there is only one right way of doing and thinking. It is really important to reach a point in all of our lives where we realize we all do not march to the beat of the same drummer. What is right for you is not necessarily right for another. There are no black and whites. There are no fixed guarantees. This is how you do it, baby. Right? It doesn't work like that. You can come up with ideas, but ultimately, if you're trying to help someone, listen to what they're doing, listen to what their beliefs are, and work within that realm. Don't try to push them into something that worked for you, per se. You can integrate parts, maybe, right? But just be really careful. I swear, this is like the one, be really careful with thing, because this is something a lot of us slide into. And I'm throwing myself in there. I've done this many a time. And you really got to catch yourself. It's very important not to assume, ask you me, right? Don't assume that we got it all figured out. Also, two other things that can show you're deficient in this chakra. We have a difficulty in recalling our dreams, and we also show lack of imagination. Yes, all very exciting things. So the sixth chakra is huge. Huge. Love it. I love this chakra stuff. I hope you guys are enjoying it with me. We're going to do the seventh chakra coming up. I'm not sure, probably sometime this week, maybe Friday or this weekend. We'll see how it works out. I've got a lot of stuff going on the next few days, but we're going to try to work it in there wherever I can. But as always, I thank you for joining me on this wonderful little journey, this sojourn down the path of the chakras. Dan Radio Style is the channel. Please subscribe, as always. Tell your friends about it. Share them. Put it on your Facebook page. I don't care, whatever. Just link it, and it helps me out in the big picture. If you like what I'm saying, share it. That's all I'm asking. And also, if you want to communicate with me, send me an email at spiritradiodanstyle@gmail.com. Again, thank you for joining me. I'll be doing the seventh chakra coming up here in a few days, and I've enjoyed this journey with you guys. I hope you're enjoying it too. Thanks.